J. Frederick Hillerich's 19th century Louisville woodworking shop, which turned out products like bedposts, 10-pins, and porch columns, was a success in its own right. But it was Frederick's son, John Bud Hillerich, who took the company in a whole new direction, parlaying his passion for baseball into an entirely new kind of opportunity, one that resulted in the creation of a world-famous icon that made Louisville a household word.
He followed the Louisville Eclipse very closely, which was a Major League Baseball team in Louisville at the time. And he befriended their best hitter, Pete Browning. In fact, Pete asked him to make a bat for him in his father's shop. Pete Browning went out and was very successful with it, and that was the founding of the Louisville Slugger.
Today, of course, the Louisville Slugger still stands as the most famous symbol of the Hillerich and Bradsby Company, over 125 years since its creation. But the H&B brand would never have become the legendary success it is without the commitment to quality and innovative thinking of Bud Hillerich.
What he did was he really understood from a common sense point of view what business was all about. He went straight to his customer, spent all night making the first bat, and he gave the customer what he wanted. And then he realized that you've got to market your product, and what he did was he started the first endorsement contract with Honus Wagner. So he was responsible for, I think, all the endorsement stuff that goes on today.
He had a relationship with Honus Wagner, and he signed Honus Wagner to this contract that gave him the right to put Honus Wagner's name on the end of the bat. And that was a start of selling to the public a bat identical to what the top players used. And that is what really led to the success of the company. At the time, there was about 40 other bat manufacturers, but no one else had done that.
Clearly, Bud Hillerich was a man with ideas that put him far ahead of his peers. But vision alone isn't enough, without a willingness to work and a love for what you do. And Bud Hillerich had plenty of both.
This was something he loved to do. In those days, he would go to all the meetings, all the baseball games, all the World Series baseball games, All-Star games, and he would visit with the owners. And the owners at that time, they would all get together at those functions, and they'd have dinners together, parties together, but they were always talking about the game, about baseball, about how it's played, how it's improved. And today it's quite different. The owners are all businessmen for the most part, and back then it was just all baseball people, and he was part of that.
Bud Hillerich demanded a lot from himself, but he also expected his high standards to be adopted by every other employee of the company.
I found a lot of his old letters that he had written back to people when he was on vacation in Florida, and he was a pretty stern taskmaster. It's like he would send a letter, "Now, Junie," that was my father, "Now, Junie, you know we need to be doing this, we need to be doing that, and when I come back home, I expect to see."
Over the decades, the Hillerich and Bradsby product line has expanded from wooden baseball bats to aluminum bats, hockey sticks, power-built golf clubs, bionic gloves, and much more. And advances in technology have made the manufacture of these items much more efficient and precise. But Bud's descendants are pretty confident that the man who started it all would heartily approve of his company's new way of doing business.
I think Bud was an innovator at heart, and he would really appreciate, especially what we're doing with the bionic gloves and even the aluminum bats. You know, a lot of people who are aficionados of wood don't like aluminum, but I think he had the entrepreneurial spirit, and he would have really appreciated the high-tech aluminum bats that we're doing today, as well as the gloves. You know, once an entrepreneur at heart, I think you're always that way.
I'm pretty sure he would be very pleased with how we're doing it today. I mean, the quality standards that he instilled in us is still alive today. Attention to detail and just making sure the baseball player gets exactly what he ordered.
Last I recall, he had 16 patents to his name, so he was always out there looking for the new thing and the next thing and trying to make things better. No, he'd have been okay with this.
Few products in the world ever attain the universal fame of the Louisville Slugger. And what makes this success even more impressive is that it hasn't been achieved by some global corporation, but by a homegrown, home-owned business that's never strayed far from its roots. H&B began as a family business, and today, those who follow in Bud Hillerich's footsteps give him all the credit for making sure it'll always remain that way.
He was able to instill in his descendants this thing about a family company. He made it so that his sons and his grandsons could take over the business. He left us with the thought that it is a family company and it should stay a family company.
He gave us the tools and the ideas and the drive to have a business last 125 years. I mean, the quality that he instilled in those original workers and in the business is alive and well today, and hopefully we'll be doing this for another 125 years.
He really started one of the greatest products in America, and it is so synonymous with Louisville that I think he represents everything that's great about business, a hard work ethic, and he did what he loved. It wasn't about going in there and making money or doing this or that. He was actually in there doing something he loved, and he did it till the day he died.